What's up? Welcome back to another YouTube video. I'm Austin Hancock. Welcome to my YouTube channel. What I'm going to share with you today is super important because this is something that I do as an exercise. It's really easy to get caught up in our lives. You know, as an entrepreneur, there's problems going on all the time, right? Problems going on all the time. Let me set this down. And as you know, you get irritated with them. You get upset with them. You think that it's the biggest problem, biggest thing going on. Whether it's a money issue in the company, whether it's a financial stress, someone quitting, someone that you hired not doing what they need to do. You know, there's so many different things as an entrepreneur and as a person in general, right? You guys go through it, whether you're an entrepreneur or a W-2 employee or a 1099, doesn't matter. We all have these stresses throughout our lives, right? It's real easy. Maybe you have a job and the sales aren't doing as well as you thought you would do. Maybe your boss is looking at cutting people and you're maybe looking at getting cut, right? All of these things. At every level of entrepreneurship and at every level of my life, I've had to become more callous, right? You just become more better. You can become better at solving the problems, right? You become more calloused to the scenario. One thing that was huge when you're young may not be such a big deal now. When somebody making fun of your shoes when you're a kid, it could have devastated you. When you're an adult, you shouldn't get devastated by that, right? It's the same concept. And so you become more callous to these things. And the exercise I like to do when I say this, listen, think about this. There was a time in my life where I was pushing on business. I had 2 babies under the age of freaking 3. My wife had just quit her job. We didn't know how we were going to pay our bills. I had already had 2 houses that I had built and they weren't selling. Things weren't going my way. I thought that I was going to be going out and killing it and selling these homes and I was going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars and be Mr. Baller. And what had happened was I needed to learn a lesson and I needed to take this as an opportunity to learn it. But I never cried about it, but I did go to a dark place financially, right? My wife did too. Later on, I learned more that she actually went into a dark place and didn't tell me about it. She's more of a self-kept person. I like to verbalize things and sometimes to my benefit and sometimes to my demise. You know, I like to share what's going on in my head. She's kind of self-kept. And so I learned later that these feelings she was internalizing were just destroying her. I didn't know how much pain she was really going through because she just gutted it. And as I say that, my point of this video, so stay tuned. We're going to finish this and it's going to finish strong because this is a tactic that I've used every single time. You need to be in an emotional state to transition your mindset because here's the thing. It may be finances. You may have credit cards out the wazoo. Your credit may be destroyed. You may not be able to pay the credit card bill. You may not be able to pay your mortgage. You may be going through something right now that's just destroying you internally. The stress is accumulating. One, suicide's never the answer. I think that's horrible and sad and selfish and nasty. And if you're watching this video and you've ever thought about suicide, you need to reach out to other people. And this is a key component to really understanding the depths of where you're at. You think you're drowning, you think it's the end all, you think it's the worst, but it's not. Let me give you some examples of what I do. What I'll do is I'll put myself in an emotional state. And how I'll do that is I'll be listening to some Saturn music. Sounds super strange, but hear me out. This works. Get yourself into some music that makes you think back, that makes you feel. Some feel music, you know what I'm saying? And I'll wake up really early. 3, I usually can't sleep if something's going on in my life that's this stressful anyway. But you need to get yourself into this point. So get yourself into this emotional point. You're listening to the music. You're getting yourself into a headspace. And I want you to realize this. I want you to think about this. No matter all the credit card debt, all the bankruptcy, all the nightmares, all the things happening to you in your life, your job loss, your car's wrecked, you can't pay for something, insurance doesn't cover it, you're up to your neck in debt, you don't know how you're going to get out, you can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. I want you to put life in perspective. This is one thing I learned unintentionally by being in the Marine Corps and going to war. If you were to snap your fingers and your loved one, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your beautiful children, maybe it's your mother, they were gone tomorrow. Would any of those situations matter? Would any of these things you're talking about matter? Would any of these problems that you have, this not making the quota, not hitting the numbers we thought we were going to make, would they matter? No, it wouldn't matter. If somebody told you right now that your daughter had terminal illness and she was going to live another 2 months, how fast would your priorities shift? How fast would your mindset shift? The wife that's there every day, every morning, putting the kids together, helping you out, shuffling you out the door, she's your support. The spouse, if you're a woman watching this, is right there all the time. We take them for granted. It's unintentional. It happens. It's just day to day. It's routine. Snap your fingers. The car accident. God forbid. You have to put yourself in this nasty situation because you need to understand perspective of life. Now, 99% of the time we're living in optimism. We're talking to ourselves about how things are going to work out. But sometimes it's very important to get ourselves in check. Gut check ourselves. Especially when we're being all poopy pants baby bitch about things not working out our way. Fuck your way. If you were to snap your fingers and your kid had cancer, or your wife was in a car crash and she may not make it within the next 24 hours, how fast do priorities shift? How fast they shift? What if you were in a situation like this? We call them catastrophic life events. Catastrophic life events are going to happen. We cannot mitigate them as much as we want to, as much as we want to change them. And that's why perspective is so important. Now, like I said, 99% of the time, we're running all optimism. We're figuring out how it's going to work. We're not thinking about how it's not going to work. But it's important that 1% of the time that you put yourself in check so that you know how to measure your real problems. Let's stop crying about it, right? So maybe you're already successful and you're just not hitting quotas. Maybe it's the simplest of stuff. Sometimes these things compile. You know, as the more you go down this journey, this growth, this path of self-development, this path of financial understanding, this path of trying to do better and push more, you're going to get more pushback. That's how it works because you're able to handle more pushback. And so sometimes these things can just feel like constantly getting punched in the face. But when you put things into perspective, like I just said, when you get yourself into an emotional state, fuck the cars, fuck the house, everything, the money, just to put me into millions in debt, I do not care. Take everything away. As long as my child is safe, as long as my wife is safe, as long as my family member, the important things in life are safe. Maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a mother, maybe it's a father, right? We all have an expiration date. Every single one of us, myself and everybody that watches this video. So when you put yourself in that perspective, one, you're going to be more grateful. You're going to be grateful for where you're at and what you already have. And you're going to be grateful for the fucking problems that you have that you're bitching about. Because when you get through them in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it may be, however long you need to endure that pain to learn to do something different, then you'll come out of it. And when you come out of it, you'll be like, wow, that wasn't so bad. You forget about it. We always remember the good times. We don't think about the bad times. People get into relationships, like, oh, it wasn't so bad. That chick's not that bad. And then you look back, and if you really remember the bad times, you'll realize why you're no longer together. That relationship didn't work out. You got to gut check yourself. That's one of the most important things to keep yourself grounded. That's how I keep myself grounded. You know, the house isn't selling. The deal doesn't come in fast enough. I didn't get a deal this month. We didn't close anything. My tenants haven't paid. I have to send somebody to foreclosure. These are problems that we asked for. These are problems that we dreamed of having. And if you're not there yet, where you're not having problems that you dreamed of having, well, you should be thankful that you're still breathing and you're still alive. And then look at the people that are important in your life. And really, look at them. And if somebody were to flip a switch, and the most important thing to you, if you're not a soulless, lost person, you will realize that it's important to put yourself in this perspective. It's also important to understand that if you're not doing anything, if you're not pushing the limits, if you don't have any stresses whatsoever because you're not pushing yourself to the max, you're taking this life for granted. This is not a dress rehearsal. We only get one opportunity at this every single minute, every single day. So make the best of it. If you have a loved one that you want to tell you love them, if you have a relationship that you maybe said something you shouldn't have said, you need to mend those so that you can focus all on the offense. But it's important to keep perspective. And that's what helps me put things in perspective, is to really go to a dark place in my life and say, if everything was stripped away, gun to my head, what would I do? What's important? What would I give up? What things are not, do I not care about besides the most important things, right? So have perspective. It's extremely important. If you guys understand where I'm coming from, if you've ever practiced this or you do practice this and you do think about this, I tell you not to dwell on it. Do not stay in that dark space. It will eat you alive and it will consume you. But it is important to reach back and remember that so that you are grounded regardless of where you're going. You have a $10,000 problem, $100,000 problem, million, 10 million, $100 million problem. You'll always need to reach back and understand perspective, regardless of how big you go, how high up you get, how much money you make, how famous you are, how good at the sport you are, whatever it is, how much you climb the ladder in your corporate world. Perspective is extremely important. And be grateful for every moment. Be grateful for the small things. Be grateful that you woke up and saw your wife in bed with you and that she's healthy. Be grateful that your children sit in the back seat sometimes and bicker because they're healthy. Because the car would be real quiet if things were to go the other way, wouldn't it? And you would want that back. Like I said, don't live in it. Just 1%. Reach back when you have these negative, woe is me, victim mindset. Check yourself. If you guys like this YouTube video, comment below. If you guys have questions or concerns or you want to connect with me, check out the bio and connect there. I hope you like this video. And if you have any other questions or you have comments on this, maybe you've dealt with this. Maybe you're going through a catastrophic life event right now. I want you to know that you'll pull through. You'll get out of it. There will be a day that the light shines back on you. You cannot say, I know how you feel, because I'm not going through what you're going through. Just like you've never gone through maybe what I've gone through. That's why people want to associate and assimilate with people that are like-minded or have gone through the same scenarios. It's human nature. It's tribalistic. I appreciate you watching this video, and make sure you stay tuned to all the other videos. Subscribe.